bit early, as usual. My voice is very croaky. As you can see, we've had a lot of rain, and I've been waiting for a break in the weather. I've been bursting to make a video, but it's been raining every day, and thankfully it stopped today. So I'm going to go up the hill and find a quiet spot, and somewhere where you'll be able to hear me, and hopefully the rain will hold off. So I'll see you in a minute. Bye. I'm out of breath. So this is where I sat for the last video, and I'll show you where I sit when I need some peace and quiet, and where I come to meditate. But I think it's going to be too noisy today, and the waterfall is down there. Noisy, although I love that noise. I love sitting here, and the sound of the water just calms my mind. It's not usually this noisy. So onward, I'll find a quiet place. I'll see you in a minute. Bye. Hi. So as you can see, I'm inside. It's started to rain, so you know, such is life in the Highlands of Scotland. So, yeah, it feels very different to make a video in here, but I'll do my best to articulate this realization I came to yesterday. And it's a profound transformation, really. And it was a magical moment yesterday, because I was sitting on the hillside thinking about what I wanted to say in this video. Started to think about forgiveness, and that sort of my thoughts began to focus on something else, and I started to think about rebirth. And as I did that, all these birds flew into the woodlands where I was sitting, and they settled in the trees around me, and they were moving from branch to branch, and I just stopped and I just looked up, and I was just mesmerized, and I thought, it's one of those kind of events that I can't help thinking are kind of part of the conversation that we're having with reality. And when we reach these moments of transformation, the world responds. And I think, you know, I'm comfortable with thinking of those little moments in that way. So we're always in a conversation with each moment, and you know, so I think, you know, that's may sound silly to some people, but it feels like a reality to me. So yeah, I was sitting on the hill thinking about forgiveness, and I realized something. You know, I've been talking for 3 years on this channel. In the first 2 years, I just was asking questions, and I didn't really understand what I was doing. It's just that I knew that who I thought I was there was something not right. It didn't feel real. And so as I kept asking those questions, my identity gradually began to disintegrate, and then gradually, and then quickly. And I think I was looking for something true in myself, something I could say, okay, this is me, in the performance of the trans woman that I thought I was then. And the only thing that I did find that was true was the pain, and my responses to the pain I experienced as a child. And when I realised that my identity was a coping strategy, it just collapsed. And then I began the work of exploring the pain. You know, I think it's essential for us to go into the pain, to go into the wound and feel it, and grieve. And the grieving is essential. The grieving is the acceptance of whatever happened, the acceptance of who we became, who we are not. And it's forgiveness for all we did. Forgiveness for the hurt we've caused others, forgiveness for the hurt we caused ourselves as we become our own abuser. Forgiveness for that I'm not who I thought I was. But one thing I realised yesterday as I was trying to articulate these thoughts is that the reason it feels like a birth to me now is because the self that grieves does not survive the grieving process. As the grief passes, the self dies. Because who we become as a consequence of trauma is a coping strategy. It's an attempt to create certainty in the world of uncertainty and fear. So I say, this is me. Of this I'm sure. These are my stories. This is what happened. This is my rage. This is my pain. So all of that tells us who we are, but when the grief passes and the self dissolves with it, who are we? We're in unknown territory then. But the fear of the unknown that's basically, rooted in that self as well, also diminishes. So can we allow ourselves the kindness of our own death as we grieve? I think our lives are always and only a process of our own disappearance, really. And that brings me to the poem I wanted to read, actually. It's from this book, David Whyte's Pilgrim. And maybe I'll read that now. And this is the title poem, Pilgrim. I bow to the lark and its tiny lifted silhouette fluttering before infinity. I promise myself to the mountains and to the foundation from which my future comes. I make my vow to the stream flowing beneath and to the water falling toward all thirst. And I pledge myself to the sea to which it goes and to the mercy of my own disappearance. And though I may be left alone or abandoned by the unyielding present or orphaned in some far unspoken place, I will speak with a voice of loyalty and faith to the far shore where everything turns to a rival, if only in the sound of falling waves. And I will listen with sincere and attentive eyes and ears for a final invitation, so that I can be that note half heard in the flying lark song, or that tint on a far mountain brushed with the subtle grey of dawn. Even a river gone by still looking as if it hasn't, or an ocean heard only as the sound of falling waves. Falling, falling and falling, my eyes closing with them into some undeserved nothing, even as they give up their strength on the sand. Wow. So for me that poem is about disappearance. So can we do ourselves the mercy, the kindness of allowing ourselves to grieve, and in that grieving process, the acceptance of our own death, the death of the certainty of who we thought we were. So, until we get to that point, and if you've seen my videos, you know that I've been in a lot of pain for a long time, and so, you think that it's never going to end. You think that there is no way to resolve it. But there is, and it's through the grieving process. It's through self-compassion, self-kindness. And then the process of change really begins. Because I still feel the the same patterns of thought, the same offering of behaviours that developed over a childhood and became seemingly hardwired into my being. Self-harm, self-cruelty, fight, flight, the immediacy of those feelings as they grip you and control you. Those now feel like offerings, and they are offerings within this kind of inner space of self-compassion and kindness. And so in that space there is an opportunity to not accept those offerings and to choose a different way. But we can't do that, I don't think, until we've really, really begun to grieve and accept. So the self that grieves is not the self that survives the process. I'll leave it there because it sounds like there's something very noisy going on outside. I'm sorry about that. So anyway, I've said what I wanted to say, I think, anyway. And sometimes I think it's best to say less anyway. So thank you for watching. I don't know what's going on outside, but sorry about the noise. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll be outside for the next video. Okay, bye.